A lot to talk about here. Joining me now, a familiar voice on conservative radio, Hugh Hewitt, host of the Hugh Hewitt Show. Hugh, thanks for being here. I want to start with your thoughts on Donald Trump's reaction to Glenn Beck appearing with Ted Cruz this weekend. Donald Trump tweeted, "Wacko Glenn Beck is a sad answer to the Sarah Palin endorsement that Cruz so desperately wanted. Glenn is a failing, crying, lost soul." So what's your reaction to that, Hugh?
What's he really think about Glenn Beck?
Yeah.
Look, I am Switzerland in this for the Republican candidates. I had Chris Christie today, John Kasich this week, Carly Fiorina this week, Marco Rubio tomorrow. Donald's coming back next week. Jeb Bush will be back next week. So I have them all on. I offer them all a platform, and I will vote for whomever the party nominates, right? I'll endorse them. But I have stayed Switzerland. What I think is going on right now is that those who are not obliged by virtue of doing the debates like I am with CNN to stay far away from endorsing are picking up sides and telling you what they really think. That's what conservative talk radio has always done, is that they eventually sift through everything and tell you what they really think, and they amplify their audience's voice that way. And so Glenn clearly believes in Ted Cruz. Mark Levin is a good friend of Ted Cruz. Now, Senator Cruz is a good friend of mine, but I like all these people. They're all my good friend. But I will say this, do not underestimate talk radio, especially in South Carolina, where, you know, after New Hampshire, where independents get to vote, and Iowa, where it's pretty easy to go into any caucus and you can have surges of turnout. It doesn't work that way in South Carolina. It doesn't work that way in a lot of the SEC, ACC primaries. You're going to get a lot of closed primaries where conservative talkers amplify their audience's voice. So I remind people of the shy Tory effect in 1992. John Major won in England. No one saw it coming because a bunch of people were too embarrassed to say they were going to vote for the very dull and boring John Major. I remind the audience that Matt Bevin, now the Kentucky governor, was supposed to lose that race in November by 4 points. He won by 9. Tom Cotton was supposed to lose by a lot in Arkansas. He won by 17 in 2014. The British elections, the Israeli, these polls, you know, CNN ORG polls are very well done, but it's all turnout model, as John King painstakingly went through. And I think for us, it's best for people like me and like you and like John and like Dana to just sit back and wait and see what happens and then try and figure out how it will impact the next one.
No question about that. But Hugh, for you, Switzerland might be getting smaller. Let me just throw that out there. Glenn Beck,
it's true.
Glenn Beck, Mark Levin, they are pretty clear. They're on the Ted Cruz side. They're going pretty hard after Donald Trump, but it's not universal. I mean, Rush Limbaugh, for instance, and some people would consider the dean of conservative talk radio, he's kind of gone back and forth, and in some cases given Donald Trump a lot of cover.
Rush is Donald's friend. And Rush is, in fact, the big kahuna. He is the maker of the feast, as Scrooge was referred to after his conversion on Christmas. He always makes the market for talk radio, and so everyone knows that Rush matters a lot more than pretty much anybody else. And he does like Ted Cruz a lot. I was listening to his show today, and so maybe there's a tilt there, maybe there isn't. I don't think he's declared, obviously. But Laura Ingraham is a big Trump factor. On my network, I think you see Michael Medved trying very hard to keep some of the other candidates up and buoyant. And I think you'll see people like Dennis Prager and Bill Bennett and Mike Gallagher torn, and obviously so. So it's very much, you know, the Republican Party has been awakened. Donald Trump came out of the ocean like Godzilla did in Japan in those old 1950s movies. And he took down all the power structure. You know, it just completely evaporated. And is there a Mothra out there? We'll wait and see.
From Switzerland to Godzilla, only you, Hugh Hewitt. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John.